Welcome back, everyone, to the three-part series on Harry and Meghan on Netflix. I'm Joanne Smith. This is In Less Than 30. I'm so excited to have you back with me. So let's dive right in. I will link part 1 to this video, so make sure you watch that as well. But part 2 today, we're going to be discussing the racism in the royal family. So let's get into it.
Kind of war against Meghan, and I've certainly seen evidence that there was negative briefing from the palace against Harry and Meghan to suit other people's agendas.
Until Meghan Markle, there wasn't really known in the royal family anyone that was of African heritage. Well, sort of, kind of. Queen Charlotte was of mixed race, Portuguese, and probably some African as well. But they try to hide it through the years. And there's only one real portrait that really depicts how she really looked. Otherwise, they mostly were whitewashed portraits. So we talked about this in part 1 about how there was a time where Meghan was beloved by generally everyone, you know, the Brits, Americans across the world. And there wasn't all this, you know, rigmarole about Meghan and Megxit and all these different names. So what happened? Well, what I think personally happened is that she spoke out, and probably out of turn according to the royal family, about her personal causes and issues that were important to her, which are predominantly women's rights and advocating for the poor. And with the royals, if it's not something that they have personally okayed, you really can't go off book and off script. Also, something that was really kind of a common thread throughout the entire 6-episode series of Harry and Meghan was that, you know, the press and the royals have kind of, well, actually it's not even non-spoken. It is basically a pact that they have. Give exclusivity to the press in return that they write predominantly great things about them.
Meg became this scapegoat for the palace, and so they would feed stories on her, whether they were true or not, to avoid other less favorable stories being printed.
And then on the flip side, if the royals want something written, maybe salacious, maybe something that they want to kind of project out to the public, the press then does it.
You would just see it play out. Like a story about someone in the family would pop up for a minute and they go, we gotta make that go away. But there's real estate on a website homepage. There is real estate there on a newspaper front cover, and something has to be filled in there about someone royal.
Shady, it's corrupt. And Harry definitely did not hold back and did not mince words about that. And it's a dirty game, he said. I quote.
It's a dirty game. The suffering of women marrying into this institution.
You know, people are like, well, how is the press racist against Meghan? Let me give you some examples. Really got bad when Meghan got pregnant. And what a time to talk about someone and tearing them down when they're having their first child. I mean, it's just the cruelty of it all and the evil of it all is just continues to be shocking to me. You know, in the press, they did a great job of comparing Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle. You know, what's funny to me is that, you know, they had a whole thing about Meghan and her touching her baby bump. You know, saying sorts of things like, you know, I wonder what this means. Is she being guarded? You know, she's being, you know, cold. And Kate was pregnant. They were just lauding her for being such a great mom to be, and, you know, when she had her bump. And so, I mean, you can see literally in black and white how the press chose to really just, you know, begin to tear this family apart. Harry said it best. He said, and I quote, "So many people expect racism to be the N-word." And as a black person, I can tell you that racism just isn't just the N-word. There are so many different nuances with that, microaggressions, macroaggressions, that happen to Black people and other people of color every single day that are certainly racist. But let's just talk about, you know, the press. So another example would be several articles about Meghan being difficult, right, to her ladies in waiting. And ladies in waiting is basically her assistants, her personal assistants that help her organize her day or get dressed or schedule an event. They have different function, you know, well, their ladies in waiting are quitting or they're upset. They, you know, are Meghan's difficult. So it's again that racist trope of angry Black woman, right? So and they do a great job of talking about that in the series. They actually said in the press that Meghan made Kate Middleton cry. And in fact, we found out from the Oprah interview that it was actually that Kate made Meghan cry. So see how they flipped the script literally in the newspaper and in the press, running silly headlines, you know, like Meghan's from Compton, and, you know, Meghan was like, all right, you know, basically, even if I was from Compton, you know, why are you picking on Compton, you know? Beverly Hills, you know, across the street, sometimes you can see a homeless encampment. So let's just be real and keep it real. For instance, let's just talk about this. So the Grenfell fire in 2017, which killed 72 people. 72 people were killed in this massive fire. It was an apartment complex, high rise. So she had the idea when she went down there to help in the soup kitchen and help these women cook to raise funds for these folks that had, you know, either had lost lives or, you know, needed a place to stay or, you know, bury their loved ones, so forth. She decided to make a cookbook.
She asked me, how many days do you offer this service? And I said 2 days a week. And her straight question was, why not 7 days, Zahira? And I said, funding. So she goes, we can do a cookbook.
We'll be supporting this cookbook, Together, which features delicious recipes from the women of the Hub Community Kitchen. The proceeds will allow the kitchen to stay open and to thrive so it can continue transforming lives and communities through cooking.
Initially, the project was for Grenfell and the victims, but now it's for the community to come together, to socialise, to cook, to enjoy the different flavours.
Residents that lived at Grenfell were mostly of poor and ethnic backgrounds, okay? So the racialized anger behind that was that, you know, a lot of them were Muslim. So the press decided to write that her cookbook was being backed by ISIS. And saying that was linked to terror suspects, Jihadi John. When we talk about why are we bringing up race, well, they brought it up first, so we're just, you know, answering the question. Second, that she has her beautiful baby, Archie. This person in the press posts a picture on Instagram and says the royal baby leaves hospital. It's a picture of a chimp in the middle. And this is literally not even a dog whistle. This is just complete racism. And the meaning behind calling a Black person a chimp, a monkey, anything of that sort is, you know, stems way back into, you know, slavery and degrading of Black people, saying that we are animals, and that's where that stems from. Part 3 of my next video, more about when they left and what that looked like, and we'll talk about Tyler Perry and how he's so amazing and how he helped. But before we go there, you know, time and time again, they came back to their family and their family wouldn't help, and now we know why. The catalyst of them actually leaving, you know, the royal family was when they decided to sue the mail. They ended up winning. It was a very long, drawn out process, and you could just see in Meghan's face and Harry's face how tired they were, because they were filming this in real time as they were going through this. Evil press was towards them, you know, with their family supporting this. It's just sad to me. Thank you for watching part 2. I will link part 1. If you haven't already watched it, definitely watch it. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss part 3, where we'll discuss their actual exit from the UK and now living in Los Angeles, what that looks like. Let me know in the comments if you watched, if you haven't, what you think, and let's keep the comments nice.
You are making people want to kill me. It's not just a tabloid. It's not just some story. You are making me scared, right? And like that night, to be up and down in the middle of the night, looking down my hallway, like, are we safe? Are the doors locked? Is security on? Is everything? That's real. Are my babies safe? And you've created it for what? Because you're bored, or because it sells your papers? Or it makes you feel better about your own life? It's real what you're doing. And that's the piece I don't think people fully understand.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.